Hello, everyday leaders. Here we are. It's Friday, January. I always have to look at the date, January 24th. And I am thrilled because I have not been on live in several weeks. I've been busy doing a lot of things, getting ready for the, okay, plug, Everyday Leaders 50 and 50 Leadership Summit that's happening February the 29th. I am super excited about this. And if you're in Indianapolis, you need to register because
Hmm.
early bird tickets are still available until the 31st of January. And I've got limited seating. So I want you to be there in the room to connect to these leaders. And I have to just start this off by saying many people have reached out and they say, I have somebody that would be a great guest for the podcast. And so I just kind of want to put this out there publicly, right? The podcast was developed over just the idea that people that are living their lives every day with success are celebrated. This isn't about product promotion. It's not about, getting somebody that's popular on a stage at a conference. This authentically was developed because I see a lot of value in relationships in my life and I want to lift and celebrate others. So, that's was the whole mission for the beginning of the podcast. And then my vision was to bring those leaders in to be able to connect to a live audience. So what you feel, what you hear on the podcast, these stories, just like what we're going to share today, this is in my heart that I want to bring to you. So listening to the guests on the podcast and then being able to come to an event and connect live is really the whole idea and design behind Everyday Leaders and the 50 and 50 group. So today I have a very special guest, uh, Beth Elizabeth Beth Beals. I know her as Elizabeth from a corporate job. Now, she has done something amazing, and she joined me on the podcast a few weeks ago at the end of the year because she has become an author. And so, yay! So, Penny Saver's Money Adventure was about financial literacy and
Hmm.
helping not only what you decided to do when you did it, but really, I think it's the message is connecting the world in understanding and having awareness about all of our financial literacy. So, I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to say thank you very much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited, and I have a special guest here with me too.
It's Penny. There she is. Yes, Penny from the book.
Hmm.
This is wonderful. Some people have a dream and they say, I want to be an author, or I have an idea, or I have a desire inside of me to communicate something. How
Hmm.
how did you, we talked about this on the podcast, but for those of you that are watching, you guys, I'm going to plug in here the stream. And if you would like to come on live with us today and you want to ask any questions, I can bring you into this broadcast studio, or if you want to type your messages in here for Beth, because I think financial literacy is huge in this world. Dave Ramsey is popular because he puts you back into being accountable to what you're doing with your life. And your journey was about helping your kids, teaching. It's always about if you teach somebody else, you step
Hmm.
into that, right? And so take us through this book and and how it's so important in your life right now.
Well, like you said, I'd started basically as a goal to help my children and find tools or create tools that would, benefit their learning and understanding of money and financial literacy. And my son, he highly encouraged me to publish the books from the stories that I would tell them, um, because he felt like some of his friends in his class would really enjoy the stories as well.
Mhm.
And so I started on the journey of trying to find how I would publish it. And by chance, he came home one day and he had wrote a book in one day. And so he thought, well, this makes total sense for my mom to do it. And so I checked out the website and sat down. I already had the stories in my mind, and I sat down and started crafting, the story out. And there was the step one of the journey, and it just went just all different directions. And now I'm here with an actual published book, and I have 9 more in the series coming out very soon. So you're the first person to kind of hear that. And so it's an exciting journey to watch it evolve.
That
Really.
is awesome. And you think about those times, right? You do the things that you do every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna bring this microphone over here. But you do things every day and you don't think that that has
Mm-hmm.
any influence, right? And because it's what you do, it's not your natural state. And so that's what I really, the leadership campaign, being a leader is understanding that leadership is all about influence. And that's what my mentor teaches me. And,
Yeah.
and so just like you, right? You realized that you had influence over your son and your son was having influence over you.
Mm-hmm.
And you followed the steps that he learned. And look at you
Mm-hmm.
now.
Yeah, I see a lot. If we're willing to listen to our children or just the youth in America as an adult, and I think that's what I'm really trying to change it from just somebody having children that they're teaching, because in all reality, everybody as an adult has an influence over children in some way, because you may have them at your church, you may have nieces and nephews, you may be a teacher in the school system. If you look around you, I mean, there's always an opportunity to interact with the youth that are growing up around us and are the future of our world, right?
Mhm.
And so I think there's a huge opportunity to connect with them and learn from them, because I could have said, I'm an adult and I know the right way to do things. And I just think it's not the right time to do the book. But I chose to listen to my son and have him guide me on a path that I probably would have never went on if I would have put my adult hat on. Right. So
Mhm.
I think that's an important lesson for all of us, to really work with our children and influence them in different things, especially when it comes to money and financial literacy. I think that we have a lot to teach them and we have a lot to learn from them as well. So,
Well, people that don't believe that they have, that they are in a good financial position, right?
mhm,
Because people say, "Oh, it's not the right time to have kids. You can't afford them, or you can't afford to go back to college, or you can't afford to, take that extra class. You don't have the time or the money or the resources to invest in yourself."
mhm,
And if you understand finances is the root of everything,
yes.
right? Just planning, being aware and accountable. Many of the things that we learn as leaders to say, okay, if we really step into our own lives and say, it's my decision. Nobody
Mhm,
else can influence. Maybe they can decide, they can influence your decision on it. But it's ultimately your responsibility.
right.
And so if you prepare in your book here, it's such a great read because first of all, it's not that many pages and it's lots of pictures. So for those of us that have short attention spans, right? But you just learn every single page. It's like making a decision. You're sitting there making the decision with the character of,
Mhm,
okay, now what's gonna be the right decision? And that's what I
mhm,
love is it gives you the clues, but you're really thinking through what should I be doing at this stage? And it makes you go back and say, when I had that or when I learned it, what did I think? And
right.
now how do you value money, right? How do you value money? And that's what I think your whole series is going to help us follow you and understand. And that's powerful, Beth.
I think so. And like you talk about everyday leaders, it's everyday experiences too, because like the first book goes through everyday experiences like the grocery store, going to the bank, going to the gas station, even a simple quarter in the bubble gum machine. If we look around, those things we take for granted because we're not in the child mentality anymore. We have bills to pay. We have to be responsible for somebody we're raising, and we just have all of this. We have work that we're thinking about, and all those things. And so it's really easy to take for granted the everyday surroundings. And so I think this book takes us back and allows us the opportunity to stop and think as an adult,
Mhm.
where would a child think of this as an opportunity to think about money, even in a very simplistic format of taking a quarter to the bubble gum machine. Does he or she need to spend the money there, or maybe they can save it and they can buy something, more valuable down the road.
Mhm.
So it's just an interesting opportunity to open up that conversation with your children.
Well, it's all about those principles. When we're in corporate environments, we have to be corporately fiscally responsible, right?
Right.
Or companies
Mm-hmm.
can't run. And so
Exactly.
it's not just, oh, do this in your home life or teach your kids this. These are fundamental values that when you go to, the gas station, do you go in and get that candy bar
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
for $1, or do you go to the theater and buy the box of candy for $8, right? It's like I always said, "Get a big purse. Get a big purse."
Exactly.
But it's making those kinds of decisions because that
Mhm.
adds up, and it was
Mhm.
funny, my grandmother, we were all talking about this the other morning in our Bible study, that she used to journal, but I didn't understand what that was like. She wrote it in a diary, she wrote every penny, penny savers. She wrote every penny down. And she, was raised in the Depression, but I always remember those little spiral notebooks that she would carry. And if it was, I got a gallon of milk, $1.09, every journal she made for her financial responsibility because she had to be accountable to it. But she was able to go and travel to Europe. She was able to do things that she wanted to do because she knew exactly what was happening with her money. And so I think of Dave Ramsey, right? And he coaches us that do you have the every day, every dollar.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
and you figure it out because you've got so the hours in a day, right? You've got 24 hours in a day. How you divide that up, that's never going to change. You only get
Mm-mm.
that much time. With money, you can determine how much you're going to make, you're going to accumulate in your life. And so you get to change those parameters. And that's what I love. If you get this fundamental down early,
Yes.
it just becomes a habit, right? And then your
Mhm.
habit becomes your character. And that's it, right? That's a simple
That's
term.
it. It is. It's so simple, and I think we do allow it to get very complicated. I think and I've talked on some videos of my own about fear and how fear can play a major role in what we choose to do and not to do. And I think it does apply to money and budgeting, and because I think even me personally, I'm afraid of budget. I'm afraid to see where the money's actually going. But if you're on top of it and you have this plan that you start at the beginning of the year, then you get ahead of the curve and you think, well, I'm not going to spend, you're more conscious. I'm not going to spend that $8 on the candy because I know I'm planning to put that $8 towards my future for my retirement or something.
Mhm.
So you're still getting a reward for spending your money. You're just spending it in a different place and putting that money in a different location. And so you can still benefit and have the experience of feeling I'm getting something for this money that I'm working for every day. Right.
Well, it's kind
So,
of like the choice, right? It's the mindset. And so
mhm.
we talk all the time in leadership coaching, it's about mindset. And when you say $100, right? Let's take $100 and you started off with the Dave Ramsey program and you say, okay, well, there's the $100 for the month. This is what
Right.
I get to spend on all entertainment. And so you divide that up amongst your household and it's the freedom and the permission for somebody to say, I get to spend this any way that I want. This is designated for whatever I choose. You would be amazed at the free things that you find that you can do to entertain yourself.
Yes.
Unbelievable, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And like, "Oh, we didn't need to spend that $100 all at once, but oh my gosh, did you know that there's something free at the museum? There's something free at the library. There's something, there's a movie night that somebody's hosting." And then you start to kind of be like, "I have control over this." And it was
Yes.
it's just amazing how you start thinking about things.
Well, you're changing your mindset, and you said that already. And it is amazing how if you're budgeting for something else, but you still want to have entertainment that it's not that you start really looking for. I think it starts to show up in your life. I
Yep.
think those things come into your awareness zone where you may have not allowed them to come through because you were thinking, oh, well, I'm going to go spend $50 at the movie theater. I don't really need to go do that free thing because maybe it's not at the same level as whatever you're going to spend your money on. But turns out maybe it's much more fun because your friends are there, right?
Right. Right. It's
So,
choices. It's all about choices.
yes.
I remember when we first started going through Dave Ramsey a few years ago, and it was, oh my gosh, this is gonna be scary because, like you said, the accountability of, I've gotta learn something that may make me feel really uncomfortable to look at everything, right? Every single
Mm-hmm.
color. But then you realize there's a purpose and there's a plan for this, just like everything else that you do intentionally. And so
Right.
that's the root of giving you the power to do anything that you want in your life and not be afraid.
Right.
Right? So going back to school, planning a wedding, planning a vacation, all of those things fulfill your life and make you feel like you have success, you've accomplished, you're accountable. And so it revolves around every decision that we make and how happy that we can be, and probably the length of our life, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if we have a happy soul and we're focused and accountable, then we are probably gonna attract those things in our life. And so it's key.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. A lot of people talk about the law of attraction and thinking about how, if you don't put the fear around money, if you don't put the fear around anything in your life, and you start to think, oh, this is how it's going to be. I'm going to plan for this, and I accept it as being the way I want my life to go and the path that I want to walk. A lot of times, I mean, for my personal experience, I haven't seen it go another direction. When I set my goal, and I'm not going to say there's not things that come in to derail the situation or um, be a negative influence, then those certainly come in. They're going to. But if you have the goal and you're planned for whatever is your final destination, then opportunities are going to arise. Like you said, free events are going to come in and be there. So it's a perfect opportunity to really align our lives. I mean, we have one extra day this year. I think it's a great opportunity to sit down and plan, what do we want the next decade to look like?
Mhm.
What do we want the next year to look like? Do we want it to be significantly different than our last decade? So I think it's a perfect opportunity to sit down and I talk about budgeting and I try to throw that word out there because people know what it's called, what it means, but it's really just about designing our life in the way we want it. It's not about trying to come from a place of lack or a place of fear. It's more about, where do you want that money to go energetically? Do you want it to go to something that's going to help you long term, or do you want to spend it on a short term fly by night experience?
So I want to ask you this because this concept comes up all the time. And we think about living abundantly, like you just said, or scarcity, right? That mindset. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we in my little mentoring group, we talk a lot about significance. And
Yes.
so the power of money, it's supposed to go in a biblical standpoint, right? It's supposed to come through you for the good of things in the world, not stay with you. It's not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to end with you. It's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to go through you to create goodness and to create programs and to create, the capacity that the
Mm-hmm.
world has. And so mindset saying, how do I use this money? How do I accumulate more of it to give it away? You would be really surprised. The people that have this scarcity mindset of, I can only do this because, versus, I'm going to create this because I see that it will create a stream so that I can accomplish this capacity that's within inside of me. And that's really, becoming leaders and living this legacy and building our communities. That is so powerful to say, today, if you have a dream, just by following a plan and being accountable to your program, you can add significance and leave a legacy in the world that you never could have dreamed of.
Mm-hmm. It is powerful. And I think it does take some training to get our minds wrapped around that concept, because I think We talked a little bit about this on the podcast. I think our generation and some of our prior generations, no fault about anybody's generation, but I think they're, because of the depression and the circumstances in the world around those times, did force the mindset of lack and did cause people to really rein in their finances. Whatever money they received, they wanted to keep it by their side for fear of it not being there in the future. And I think it's our generation's responsibility to change that mindset for children in the future, to kind of say, you can prepare, but it doesn't have to come from a place of fear. It comes from what you're saying, a place of helping others, having the abundance to be able to share with the world, to have it flow through you, to be able to, go in all the places that it needs to go. Because like I was saying, it's energy. It's not anything. It's tangible paper, but it really is an energetic flow. And when we're open to it and we welcome the abundance, then it's going to come to us a lot easier.
Absolutely. So I'm going to open. So I told you before, I have a couple of tabs open behind here, and I'm going to try to switch the screen. So we have Elizabeth Beals author page on Facebook. So I'm going to go there first and just show you guys that. So bear with me here real quick as I share this screen. See if I can get it done this time. There we go. Is that sharing?
That's the Facebook page.
Yep. Let me go. There we go. Did it click over, or do I have to? Trying to see my. There we go. Let me stop sharing. So that's the Facebook page, everybody. So you can see that. And then the author page. There we go. So did that click on here? Look at me. Look at me go. Here we go. There we go. That is your author page. So go to elizabethbealsauthor.com. And I'm going to put the links in here for you guys. Let me click this if I need to. I may have to go back and put this in the notes, but I'm going to try to do that from here and put it in the comments. I'm still learning StreamYard. I absolutely love this program because it's streaming to all different pages at the same time in YouTube. So if you go to the link that I just provided here in the notes, you should be able to get to this yourself. So tell us about the format of your website, how we can connect to you, what's the best way, things that are coming up that you're teaching that we can connect to you.
Yeah, so the first page is obviously the home page. It talks a little bit about the book, and if you scroll all the way down, is a subscribe section where your name and email can go. And this is where you can sign up for getting newsletters and things that I might share with the private audience or my membership team or membership audience. And that way you will be the first to know if a book signing is coming to the area, if when the new books are being launched. My membership audience will receive information in the newsletter first. I hate spam, so I'm not in the business of sending anybody spam emails or anything like that. It's simply a place where you guys can connect with me on a deeper level and find out things first as the membership audience. And then, of course, the links to Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube are there. YouTube is a work in progress, and I will have more videos going out very soon. So look for that. You can subscribe to my page on YouTube. And then of course, I offer book signings. I have several scheduled already this year. I have some workshops. My next workshop is in March, and I'll have information coming out on that very soon. But this is actually a workshop. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask me to teach on how I was able to get published. And so this is actually bringing your book from manuscript to publication. And so I walk people through all the different resources that are available. And I've compiled 8 years of research that I've done into a 2 hour workshop. So you get to cut down a lot of time to get your manuscript published. And
Wow.
early bird special for the cost is $88. So it's super affordable. And it's a way for you guys to get your book launched this year in 9 months.
That's awesome. What value? That is significant value. And I think about, so when you go up here and you kind of click through these different links, I mean, the credibility of what you have been able to do. And so a little bit about us. We connected a long time ago because Beth and I used to work together at a medical company, Cook Medical. Shh. But you were my contracting person. You were the one that guided me to say, can we price the customer accordingly? Can we get the right products in there and the right pricing? And so this is something that you have always dealt with, right? You've always been able to kind of understand the balance between, the reality of what you need to do and the value of how you need to approach it. And so it just is not like something that you said, oh, I think I want to write a book about money. You know, you have a lot of influence that's been created through this. So,
Yes.
Anyway, that was just my 2 cents for you because I really understand how you have come into this. And so following your purpose, that's my message too for people is look into your life in the things that you have always done, the things that you've always enjoyed, the things that you've gotten paid to do, the things that people come to you for advice on.
Yes.
That's easy, right? And it's not complicated. You don't have to look for that billboard then that many people say, "Well, how did you know everyday leaders was what you wanted to do?" You know, and I'm like, "Well, because I believe every day every person does lead their life with success."
Yeah.
It's not complicated, but you don't realize it's right in front of you. And so
Right.
use those experiences in everything that you do. You with your kids, you with teaching, you with writing your books now and creating penny savers, money adventure, right? And now the doll, like there is just it is right there in front of you. That's right. Everybody go to Beth's website and order your book. And the series that's going to be coming is amazing and offering these workshops. And I know you're doing a lot of stuff online with your teaching now in your Facebook group. So if you have not, I'm going to show this again real quick, but if you have not gotten involved in Beth's Facebook group, you can go to Elizabeth Beals author page, Facebook group right here. And this is what it looks like with Penny at the top. And just contact her. So you can do all of these things and look for the events and the community and all of that here too. So it's really important that we support this because it's not just about us, it's about the legacy that we're all leaving for the next generations. So
It is. It's about the future, and that's what I totally believe in, the foundation, building the foundation with our children and helping them to understand why our finance is important and not to be afraid of building a budget and preparing for their future. So I think if we are able to accomplish those 2 goals, we'll have made a significant impact with our future children.
amen. Amen. Well, gosh, thanks for coming on today, sharing your journey, sharing your story, sharing all of this incredibly valuable information. I think, if one person can watch this and say, yeah, I need to think about that. It's the first of the year. And February 29th would be a great time to come to the Everyday Leaders Seminar and write your goals because you're going to get a journal.
You can write your financial saving goals in your
Right.
journal.
That's your extra day. Come and do that.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
and so hopefully, as I profess, everybody from the podcast is included in the summit for the following year. So you may see Beth on stage with us to connect to you live, and that's the purpose. And so everything that we do, this is part of that personal growth live to
Mhm.
celebrate people that are living with success and driving change in the world because it's important and we all have the capacity to do it. So,
Mhm. We do.
yep.
Imagine what the world would be like if we all lived our life the way we wanted.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Beth, thank you so much. And everybody, if you haven't connected with messages, please, on the replay, type in replay for us so that we can connect to you. This will be on YouTube. This will be on all the Everyday Leaders pages and the podcast page. And then we'll reshare this to anywhere that you need these as well, Beth. And thank you again for just coming on and sharing today.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.